What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got a full recap of the absurd 2024 NFL season. Let's check this out.
Yep, back at it. It's that beautiful time of the year again, with the gridiron slumbering for now. This is the perfect time to go back and remember the 2024-25 NFL season and the shenanigans that took place. The Eagles dominated, teams collapsed, and the Jets jetted. It was a fun season. So enough rambling, and let's go all the way back to the distant year of 2024, if your brain goes that far back, and recap the entire 2024-2025 NFL season. Days went by. Nothing.
What the
Silence.
fuck?
We sat in solitude and watched
I
as
remember
the new
this.
free agents and younglings went through training camp. We drafted some awful fantasy teams, and then we all sat and watched the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Baltimore Ravens. It was a beautiful day. For the second year in a row, the new dictators of happiness and fun and red played in the season opener, and this time took on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who had a new toy to play with in Derrick Henry. So, was this enough to finally beat the Chiefs? Well, no. Hell fucking no, it wasn't. Mahomes has too much testosterone flowing through his balls, because honestly, people thought Kansas City would finally be slowing down, but no, not at all. Rashee Rice was a dog. Xavier Worthy was, in fact, still fast.
Bro, what the fuck was this play called too, bro? On 4th and 3.
Kansas City would finally be slowing down, but
like, no. Come on, gang. Like, what the fuck? Like, why would we throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage on 4th and 3?
Rashee Rice was a dog.
That was a
Xavier
dumbass
Worthy
play
was,
call.
in fact, still fast, and the defense was absolutely smothering Derrick Henry, making him just look like Latavius Murray with longer hair. But the Ravens put up a hell of a fight, and it was clear these were two elite teams that were definitely going to be competing at the top of the AFC for the entire season. However, it came down to this. The Ravens in the red zone messed up as Zay Flowers and Lamar had some miscommunication on this play, and then Lamar found Isaiah Likely to call game.
Nigga had a Kevin Durant moment, bro.
It's an incomplete pass. Automatic Chiefs win.
Never mind. Chiefs win. So that was how the season started out. You know, pretty normal, right? Well, don't worry, because Packers Eagles
didn't Saquon have like 3 tugs this game?
Quimica Arena in Brazil on a Friday. Well, that's cute, huh? What a novelty. At least the field was well kept, though, and the NFL prioritized player health over exposure, and thankfully no injuries took place. But week 1 also right away answered a lot of questions. The Minnesota Vikings had a bit of a quarterback problem. J.J. McCarthy tripped on his pet turtle and was out for the season, and in the wake of that horrible tragedy, Sam Darnold was going to be Minnesota's quarterback for the season, much to the delight of this abomination. Right away, though, Sam Darnold balled out and was leading the MVP race in week 1 damn near. And meanwhile, my MVP favorite before the season, Joe Burrow, lost.
How did they lose to the Patriots, bro? Bro, the Bengals do this shit every year. They start off like, what, 0-2, 0-3, losing the teams they should have no business losing to. And then they end up coming to bite them at the end of the year.
Flaws, but
if they would have beat the Patriots, they would have made the playoffs last
Watson year. Also is still bad at football, turns out. And the Browns made Dallas look like contenders. Tyreek Hill was detained by the police before the game and did a cheeky little celebration, too. I mean, what a great citizen he is. So, you know, average week overall, honestly. It was good to have football back, but the chaos would only begin. And Sunday Night Football delivered. Rams versus Lions. My favorite game from 2 seasons ago now got another must-watch rematch. Stafford versus Detroit is just peak entertainment. And as usual, the game was fun, but the Rams weren't prepared because they had their third-team O-line basically finishing the game. I don't know what happened. Wow. Their injury slider got jacked to the max, and the whole team got hit with
the Rams dealt with injuries a lot last year.
Of unknown proportions. The whole O-line was just decimated.
Especially the wide receivers.
And this led to them getting 51 offensive snaps from A.J. Arcuri. Dude hasn't played since 2022 and never played again this season outside of the last pointless game of the year. So with all the injuries, the Lions won the game and all seemed well. But the Rams sneakily managed to get that injury curse off them and through dark witchcraft, landed it on their opponents in this game. So we move into week 2, and Tua got another concussion.
Yeah, bro. He got to learn the slot. Now, I ain't gonna lie, Tua did this to himself. Because why are you diving head first? Like, come on, gang. You got to learn how to slide, bro. Knowing you have a history of concussions, why are you diving head first,
gang? Remember that? Remember when everyone wanted Tua to retire again? It happens like every season, and it's probably going to happen again. So we'll see.
I just hope he can
was
stay
already
healthy
poorly
this year,
versus
bro.
Buffalo, and that
Real
concussion
shit.
was just kind of how the whole Dolphin season ended up going. But he didn't retire, and then
Damn.
week 2 threw us some curveballs at 180 miles per hour. The Raiders, the Las Vegas
we had no
Football
bitch
Raiders,
losing this game either, bro. Real shit.
beat the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, and all of a sudden Lamar Jackson was 0-2 with a loss to Gardner Minshew on his resume. God, I hope I never see this man in a black uniform.
We do this every year, losing the teams.
And meanwhile, our old quarterback was tearing it
It's
up
the
in
Ravens'
the
way.
Big Easy. Over their first 2 games, the New Orleans Saints scored 91 combined points as they embarrassed the Panthers.
Everybody
Dallas,
thought they were going to be Super Bowl contenders from week 1.
And meanwhile, another team joined the Ravens at 0-2 in their very own division, the Cincinnati Bengals. I picked them to win the bloody Super Bowl, so that's not ideal. And after a fun
That's
game
your
versus
big.
the
Hey,
Chiefs,
that's your biggest flaw right there, bro. Picking the Bengals to win the Super Bowl.
I think this Cam Taylor
Never
Britt
that,
pick was
bro.
underratedly one of the best picks of the season. The game still ended in Kansas City's favor, as usual, with Rashee Rice getting smacked.
Yeah,
pass
that was
interference,
bullshit right there.
Chiefs win at the last second. And there will be more where that came from. Then we got week 3, and I definitely didn't expect a Malik Willis revenge game versus the Titans, who meanwhile have been on a generational run with Will Levis crumbling to the floor 8 times a game. But without Jordan
Jair
Love
need
in
to stay
Green
healthy
Bay,
this year
who was
too, bro.
sacrificed to an altar in Brazil, Malik Willis balled out and became forever loved in Green Bay. And Will Levis continued to disappoint, but he was not.
He gave us a
alone,
meme
of
every
course.
week, bro.
Anthony Richardson had MVP potential before the season, but even in his quote good game in week 1 versus Houston, he still showed a complete lack of development as a passer, and that was not going to come in 2024. But even
like what is he doing right here, gang?
as a passer, and
like what are you doing? That nigga just got absolutely terrified
not going to
when
come
in
in
the pocket
2024.
like that.
But
gang.
even more disappointing.
You gotta stay cool,
was the
calm, and
former first
collected, bro.
overall
Be
pick,
poised, nigga.
Bryce Young, because he was expected to take a
Damn!
massive leap in this new Dave Canal system, but his first fucking pass was a pick, and through 3 weeks, he was quite literally the worst quarterback in football. So they benched him.
Nah, being worse
And
than
the
Deshaun
Panthers
Watson
had
is
enough,
crazy.
and in came the Red They beat us by 30. I went to this game, and I knew 100% this was going to happen, but I went anyways, because why not? All the pain is the same. It's all the same. What's the fucking difference? What is the difference? The Lions did this cute little flip play for a touchdown. That was cool. But on Monday Night Football, which I
It's
think it's
one
a
hell of a
bad rep.
game,
And for
bro.
me, it's kind of annoying to not be able to get a recap out earlier because it exists. But this year, Monday Night Football was largely good stuff. And Bengals versus Commanders, man. Damn, Joe. Why do they want to see my man suffer like this? Look, I think a fun little experiment would be to show someone Joe Burrow stats this year that had no idea what happened to the Bengals season and just what it devolved into, and ask them what record they think the
Y'all
Bengals
think
have.
JD gonna
And
have
they'd
a
probably
sophomore
say,
slump
like,
this year?
13 wins or something like that. And in this one, Joe Burrow
Man,
went for
it happens a lot,
330
so
yards and 3
Hopefully
touchdowns.
not, but
And they
never
lost.
know.
Jaden Daniels just had a ridiculous game, and overall, obviously, had a historic
I mean, like,
rookie
bro,
season.
this is
And
crazy. In his third game, 29 of 38 for 324, 3 tuds, no turnovers. That
on
is
this day,
crazy,
as
bro. That's what you
Cincinnati's
call
life essence was
generational right
siphoned
there.
out of them and transferred
I know
to
we
the
throw
Dave
that
Cruz
word
shiny
around a lot,
premium.
but
and then in week 4, the
that's
goofiness came back
exactly
in
what that
full swing.
is, nigga.
Saints vs Falcons was probably the tamest of weird games, as the Saints allowed a 5-yard passing game-winning drive from Captain Kirko, and the injuries absolutely destroyed their season
Well,
and
young
left
way
them
cool.
with no hope. We then hard pivot to check in on Sam Darnold, who's still incinerating peasants and ruling the land. But
Todd.
it's time to discuss.
They
the
really had Sam Darnold looking like Tom Brady last year,
So
bro.
far
That
have
shit is
been
crazy.
disappointing, believe it or not. But in week 4, the roof
Bo
caved
Nix.
in on them and slowly
Damn.
suffocated their entire fan base to death. First, the Broncos.
Oh my god.
Them and slowly suffocated their entire fan base to death.
Damn, 77.
First,
Oh
the
my
Broncos. Bo Nix in a rainstorm.
That
did
nigga
not
got
complete a pass.
cooked.
He had negative passing yards in the first half, and the Jets were in complete control. The following clips should not be displayed to younger viewers. The New York Jets
A-Rod.
pissed this entire game away in every way possible. And this entire game is the most symbolic thing I've ever seen. The season ended here, on this day, in this very game. And some
I feel like
Jets
their
fans who've
season
been
ended
around
week
the block
1 when
knew
they
it,
got
but
belt
others,
from the Niners,
others
to be
believed
honest.
in Aaron Rodgers. We then go over to see
T-Law.
what was going on in Jacksonville, because this team had such an underratedly season. I don't understand why they don't get dunked on more. This team had playoff aspirations at least, and instead, they ended up with Travis Hunter by year's end. And they lost on a game winner versus Houston, Mahomes assassinated Rashee Rice with one of the worst
This
plays
shit was
ever
crazy.
passed down,
Oh
throwing a
my
pick,
gosh.
And then ending his best receiver season. And on
See what that nigga was trying to do? He was trying to bro. This nigga was trying to sacrifice teammates and shit for another bowl.
Mahomes assassinated Rashee
Like, we
Rice
know what
with
was
one of the
happening,
worst
Mahomes.
plays
Like, come
ever
on. There is no reason why Mahomes should have been doing this at all.
Throwing a pick,
Like,
and then ending his
gang,
best
nigga
receiver
sacrificing
season.
his
And on
receivers.
primetime, the Ravens picked apart the
And this
Bills,
is probably one of
and
my
it turns
favorite
out
games from last
Derrick
year, not
Henry
gonna
is
lie.
still good at football. Week 5 then started with a Mike Breen bang and a half.
Damn.
Buccaneers versus Falcons. What a game this was. And
bro,
Young
this is
Oku
one of the
had a lot of
rare
arc in
good
this
Thursday
game
night
alone.
football
He
games
basically
last
missed
year.
2 crucial kicks in a row.
It seemed like
he would
ever
miss his
since
chance.
NFL went to prime, bro, the Thursday night football games ain't been hitting
Redemption,
like
because
that.
meanwhile, the Kirk Cousins Baker Mayfield shootout was real, and Baker in particular had been amazing all year, but this game would come down to mistakes. And Darnell Mooney dropped a big pass that looked like it was going to be game
That should have
ending,
been touchdown
but
right
then
there, I ain't
Bucky
gonna lie.
Irving outdueled him, coughed it up, and now Young Hoku redeemed himself. For now, and the Falcons got a walk-off touchdown. And Thursday night football,
Daryl
being
Hodge
the
out
coin
of
flip
all
it was,
players, bro.
delivered a good game this
That's
time
tough.
instead of just being unwatchable slop. Bengals versus Ravens
Yes,
was
sir.
absolute.
You got
sin.
this nigga, bro.
How do you think the game went, huh? Joe Burrow played a
Like,
perfect
this
game,
nigga,
and then
every time he play us, bro, every fucking time, this nigga looking like prime Randy Moss. I really hate this nigga. Like, I hate that we don't have a receiver like this on our team. Like, we got good receivers. We don't got nobody as near special as this nigga Jamar Chase, bro.
lost anyways because Lamar
Like,
Jackson
God
was
damn.
doing bullshit like this.
But we got this
He's
nigga,
so
though.
good, man. Lamar's stupid good. Jamar Chase popped off. Bro,
I just want this
popped
nigga
off
to
with
win
400
one
yards and
ring, at
5
least one
touchdowns, and
ring,
they lost
bro.
the football game. So
That'll make my
Man,
life complete.
I'm
Real
excited
shit.
to say that 6 more times this year. But first, prepare yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Are you aroused? Well, you will be. Don't worry, because get soggy for the one
Hey,
and only
bruh.
Joseph Vincent Flacco.
The real Joe
because He
Shiesty.
played football this week. It wasn't permanent yet, so
Ravens
hold
legend,
on.
nigga.
But hey, for Colts fans, excitement is excitement, and he delivered for a small time. But he'll be a recurring character. Don't worry. Our season.
That
also
game had
ended
no
after
reason
Gardner
being
Minshew
good.
Lost
I ain't
his
gonna lie.
job, but added a few chromosomes on this throw, so that was good. Don't remember much else from the game. The only note I wrote was I don't like Ja'Cory Bennett. And the 49ers also blew a horrid game versus the Cardinals, and the Steelers and Cowboys underratedly played one of those games that I'll probably always remember. The game was on Sunday Night Football. Because
All I remember from this
Cowboys.
game was George
It also
Pickens
started even later,
just
'cause,
bitching Jordan
I don't
Lewis,
know,
bro.
The weather
That's
gods
it.
were pissed, so
That's
whatever
about
was
it, nigga.
happening, I wasn't even picking up on because I was half asleep watching the game because it was a classic Arthur Smith versus Mike McCarthy game. As usual,
Games like
but
this
the
is why I'm
ending
glad
was
I just
so
react to the
hard, as
highlights and shit,
after
bro.
a crazy
Oh
sequence
my
for Dallas
gosh.
fumbled, but got it back on 4th down. Dak
That
threw Jalen
nigga
Tolbert, and the
Landon
Cowboys
Roberts
would
is
go on to
nasty,
win
man.
the Super Bowl. Week 6 Bears football, yay! I feel so bad that I haven't had time so far to discuss the historic success that was the 2024.
This is one of the best games
Under
Caleb played
George
last
Howell,
year.
I mean Matt Eberflus, the Chicago
Like,
Bears
he looked
became
so
the NFL's
comfortable.
premier team. Look, they beat the Jaguars by so many points. I'm so happy for them. Love to see it, Bears. Keep it up. We'll check on the Bears next week. I'm sure they'll be fine. But this was the week that injuries kind of set in. In New England, Drake May was set to get consumed after his makeshift O-line was fielding arguably the worst player ever, but he looked pretty good. Then in Detroit, Aiden Hutchinson
Oh yeah.
suffered a
Hey,
season-ending
if he didn't get hurt, he was 100% winning Defensive Player of the Year, bro.
injury,
100%.
changing the entire landscape of the NFL as a
100%,
whole,
bro.
'cause
He-
the
he
Lions
was
when healthy,
unblockable, literally.
were untouchable for the most part. Around the NFL,
Yeah, I'm glad he
also,
didn't
the
show that
Chiefs
clip
were
again, 'cause that
still
shit was
considered the
nasty.
best, as teams like the Eagles and
What the
Bills
fuck was
hadn't really hit
that?
their strides yet. And speaking of Buffalo, they had a football game versus the Jets. Now, this game had me geeking once again. My notes are not giving me too much information here, but it was a good time. The tuck rule actually came into play. The Zebras were on the prowl, and Rodgers threw a
Man,
game.
A-Rod tried to blame
Yes.
Mike Williams. What the fuck?
Saints versus Broncos. Thursday night football. Sadly,
Bro, threw
I
Mike
have
Williams
a
under the
functioning
bus
memory
like
somewhat,
crazy in that,
and I
post-game
watched the
interview.
highlights of this game. Again, I'm sad now. But week 7 at least gave us, like, Vikings-Lions. That was cool.
Niggas
And
be
ended
too
up being
scared to
huge for
hit
seeding,
Mahomes,
but nah,
bro.
I can't lie. This week was probably the most boring week of the season. The 49ers and Chiefs had a Super Bowl rematch, but the 49ers were not the same team they were the year prior, and the Chiefs
This was
dominated
crazy.
slowly, as is par for the course. And Mahomes struck Mustafa. I mean, bro, we
my
had Steelers
gosh.
Jets on Sunday night
What
football.
the fuck?
Mustafa. I mean, bro, we had
Gary.
Steelers Jets on Sunday Night Football.
Come on,
Even I didn't want to watch that game, but alas, the Demons won, and I got to watch Davante Adams debut as a Jet, and it was great. Just flawless. I'm really glad I drafted Garrett Wilson this year, and of course the Jets got f***ed anyways. Week 8 started off slow again, so it looked like it was going to be another boring week.
Stafford
has
never pulled that out of his bag ever,
and that is exactly what
until last year,
the Rams
bro.
beat the Vikings on a bad no-call face.
Damn, I forgot about that.
Thursday game. Beat the Vikings on a bad.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know how this wasn't even called, bro. The ref is looking directly at this shit. How are you not calling that?
Otherwise solid Thursday.
I think it was another, this ref right here.
No call face mask, which spoiled an otherwise solid Thursday game.
This ref right here. How the fuck do you not see that?
Brandon McManus was becoming
nigga whole head turned into an owl, bro. Real shit.
And then Jameis,
and then you got this fuck ass game.
The Cleveland Browns.
We only lost because our receivers didn't know how to drop, how to catch the fucking ball, bro.
He was so much better than Deshaun Watson, who was out for the season. Niggas was dropping the ball left and right. The upset of the damn season.
Even Kyle had right here.
The Browns defense last year had some wild ability to flip flop between the 85 Bears and the 2014 Raiders. But this game was only
you got Hitler #2 getting bombed by Cedric Tillman.
Would be decided entirely by Jameis Winston. And with time running out, he should have thrown a pick, but it was dropped, and then he proceeded to throw a bomb for a game-winning touchdown. And this is only like level 3 of this week. The New York Jets. We're going back to that well of misery, everyone. Let's pile on the Jets because
Drake
may
get a lot of potential, bro.
Patriots. Robert Saleh, remember, got fired for basically nothing before this game. Surely he was all the team's problems, and it turns out Davante Adams' brilliant inspirational speech didn't really connect with the teammates. And without Drake May, the Patriots came back and now officially just ended the season of the Jets before the halfway point of the year. You know, I don't know about you. Let me get a little emotional here for a second, but there's still times that I wake up in the morning and I just go, man, I miss Matt Eberflus. I really do. The pure joy that man brought to my life is a void that is yet to be filled, so let's talk Commanders versus Bears. By this point, dead serious, the Chicago Bears were a good team and seemed very easily on track to make the playoffs. And this game was set up as the battle between the #1 pick in Caleb Williams and the #2 pick in Jaden Daniels. But as he did all season, Jaden Daniels bought the Commanders a chance. Just a chance to do something.
This is where they fucked up at, bro. Giving Terry this much cushion.
Jaden Daniels. But
you know what I'm saying? With 5 seconds left, allowing them to get like, 10, 15 more yards, bro.
Jaden Daniels bought the Commanders a chance.
That's where they fucked up right there, bro.
Something. But it wasn't enough because all they had left was a Hail Mary attempt. And the Bears
if that don't happen, I don't think this ball reaches the end zone.
Rush 3 people? Oh, fuck.
With the game on the line.
Tyreek Stevenson.
We then got more Jets
That's all I gotta say about that.
Jets football the next week because on Thursday Night Football, the game
I don't know how players continue to do this every
Al
year,
Michaels was seconds away from just dying on live TV.
Hold on to the ball. Is it that hard?
Like Corley fumbled on the one, but the Jets still won.
I think that was about to be his first career NFL touchdown, too.
It's objectively hilarious. The Jets were kind of good on paper, and they had their moments. Devontae popped off, and they exposed the Texans' #1 flaw, that being their protection. But, this week was cool overall. The Bills almost lost to the free-falling Dolphins after Tyler Bass himself. Saquon did the thing this week, which covered up a near horrid collapse for Jacksonville, but Trevor Lawrence threw a game-losing pick. The Cardinals blew out the Bears, and their free fall was in full swing. And we also randomly got a great game between the Rams and Seahawks. I bet a bunch of you didn't even remember this game, let alone watch it.
Yeah, I do.
But it was wild. There were 2 block punts.
Gino threw 2 picks to Cam Kinchens, I'll tell you that.
After 15 tries,
take that one to the crib.
Got it to overtime. But in the end, the Rams somehow won the game.
Bombs away.
And DeMarcus Robinson got a one-handed dime from Stafford. And the walk-off touchdown ended the game. Just an underratedly crazy year from the Rams.
I can see it this year, bro. D-Rob won't have a random-ass game where he just go for like 130-plus yards, bro. I can already see it.
We're also kind of weird.
I can already see it, bro.
Vikings versus Colts does not sound like a Sunday Night Football game, but Joe Flacco got handed the keys to the team after Anthony Richardson was controversially benched. And boy, did it not go well. And then on Monday, we got Chiefs versus Bucks, which was a fun game. The Chiefs overcame a great Baker Mayfield performance who's been a dog all year, and then pulled it out at the last second. And then it happened again in the very next week. Broncos versus Chiefs, Week 10.
This was the definition of bailed out.
The script writers were truly on one this week. The Broncos looked better than the Chiefs. They just did. But nope, doesn't matter. Denver's chip shot game-winning kick
last year
was blocked, and the Chiefs stay undefeated somehow. But on Thursday, we got another installment of Ravens versus Bengals.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. When we were down 21-7, I was nervous as shit. I'm not going to lie, bro. But then I realized we were down like by 14 points when we played them earlier in the year. I was like, some crazy shit gonna happen. Then that nigga Roquan ended up getting a fumble, bro. Forced fumble.
Joe Burrow.
It was him or Marlo.
Jamar Chase, one of them. Masterclass. Derrick Henry, ass. This game had it all. And what do you think happened again? I mean, I can't even. I'm running out of words. Bro. Joe Burrow again had 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, and they
you got this nigga
lost. Lamar Jackson.
I really hate this nigga, bro. Real shit.
The Bengals were cooked right there because their defense had a tough.
Like every time. Every time. But hey, Jamar Chase. There's no Brandon Stephens for you to fry this year, bro. Or Eddie Jackson or Marcus Williams. We locking you down this year, bro.
The Bengals were cooked right
You won't get over 50 yards, bro. That might be famous last words, but I got faith in our defense this year.
Giants in Germany. Yeah, but this was basically the week of the kicker. Every year has one of these weeks, and this was it. Not only did we get the Chiefs,
didn't Goff throw like 5 picks that game?
Almost choked a game single-handedly versus the Bucs. And on Sunday Night Football, Detroit Lions faced the Houston Texans, and Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions, not even halfway through the third quarter. And they won. Jake Bates ended up putting the team on his back. The Texans played a terrible game, and they missed a huge kick themselves.
Yeah, Bates gonna have him a statue,
I don't even remotely understand what's happening anymore. In Week 11, things slowed down a bit.
Damn!
The traveling psych ward kept going as they had another win in the bag.
Okay, J-Lo.
The 2024 Bears. Of course not.
Crazy Bears almost won this game.
The 49ers blew another late lead to the Seahawks and Geno Smith, which meant Geno again added 18 more gray hairs to his beard. Michael Penis saw some action, which was cool, even though they got smashed by Denver, and Kirk Cousins was basically done on this day. The Chiefs then finally lost a game to the Bills. And Chargers
love the Chiefs downfall, real shit.
I don't even need to say it anymore, man. Of course, the Bengals got their hearts ripped out again. But Week 12, things were back on track, and so was Tommy DeVito. And by back on track, I mean he was right back to being one of the worst quarterbacks this game's ever seen. And I don't know what was happening in that division this week, because also the Cowboys and Commanders played this week. And I'll be honest, most of this game was forgettable. Not much happened, but after Cavante Turpin returned this kick, doing his best Deshaun Jackson impersonation, the game shifted into maximum overtime.
Oh my god, that nigga is so nasty, bro.
The Commanders had no hope.
God damn.
And then this happened. The day and
this game should have won OT, bro. I wish I would have reacted to this game. But I was watching this shit with my mom and shit.
For the tie.
It's no point.
Low snap. It is no good.
What the hell? What? Damn it. Okay, well, I wish I could say that's it, but the funniest part is the Cowboys decided to house the onside kick, which gave the Commanders
I thought he was about to throw another Hail Mary. I'm not even gonna lie.
The craziest game in NFL history if they converted, but they didn't. So this game stole all the headlines, but there was more going on in the NFL. The Titans beat the Texans as their concerns continued. The Panthers almost beat the Chiefs, and Bryce Young's career was being revived out of nowhere. And on Sunday Night Football, Saquon Barkley and the Eagles truly hit their stride. As he had one of the best games of his career with 255 yards, and the 2,000-yard mark was realistically in his sights.
300 yards.
Now, yay! And what better way to show your love for gravy by watching the Chicago Bears absolutely melt down in the greatest form of entertainment possible. The Lions were kicking the hell out of the Bears early, but Caleb Williams is good at football and was having an amazing second half, but it was stopped.
Now, it's one thing not to call a timeout and have your rookie quarterback, you know what I'm saying, try to change the play and shit. But this route concept was absolutely horrible. You know, this all you got to get to right here, the field goal target line. You running a stick route, an out route, a streak route, out route. Where the fuck is the drag and slant routes at? No routes work to the middle of the field right here, gang.
classic Matt Eberflus.
And like, and Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, y'all supposed to be the veterans, bro.
Stopped in its
Why didn't y'all think to run a slant or anything? Like real shit, especially Keenan Allen.
Eberflus moment. I'm not sure I've seen a worse clock
disaster.
Could
he have ran?
Classic Matt
Nah, he ain't had no time.
Eberflus moment. I'm not sure I've seen a worse clock disaster in my life. The fact that the Bears ended this game with a timeout is mind-boggling. And the Bears threw the game and fired Matt Eberflus after. And
he deserved to get fired after that.
Giants, Cowboys, and Dolphins,
Miami got belt.
Literally could not have been more forgettable. We almost beat the Chiefs too, or we did. Well, we literally did. We showed so much resilience. We battled back.
And the devil magic kicked in, bro.
From us. And the Chiefs pulled it out of their hairy asses again. But whatever, it is what it is. That's the status quo at this point. The Chiefs get whatever they want, but also at the same time, the Jets delivered the comedy.
You can't make that shit up, bro.
Leonard Williams, of all people, who, by the way, had a random amazing season. And
this was another one of those weird ass games, bro. Everybody was fumbling on the kickoff and shit. That reaction was all over the place for me.
Turned the game on its head. The Jets punter went down.
This is one of the weirdest games from last year.
And somehow lost the game, and they were now 3-9. The Bucs played a super fun game versus the Panthers, if you remember.
Chuba Hubbard choked.
It went to overtime. Chuba Hubbard fumbled. Good stuff. The Eagles took care of the Ravens in a potential Super Bowl matchup. And on Monday, we got more Jameis ball. And Jerry Jeudy went absolutely
This was an insane game.
Out of scenic all nowhere.
1,000 combined yards.
35 yards. And
insane.
Still the game, of course.
Leave it to Jameis to screw up everything,
complete balance as always. Week 14 started out fun with Lions versus Packers. You know, it was a close game, and it'd be a tragedy if I didn't mention a Dan Campbell nutsack size moment in this video, right? Because his fourth down decision was insane, but it won them the game. But also, people began to worry about the contenders. The Panthers came a Xavier Legette drop away from beating the Eagles, and the Rams took down the Bills, exposing their defense despite Josh Allen, who I feel like I should have talked about more at this point, but he kind of grabbed the MVP for himself on this day with 6 total touchdowns. But as it turns out, with a healthy Puka Nacua, the Rams are a high tier 2 team, and the Jets subplot just kept going strong. So by this point in week 15,
this was a horrible game.
It was really
oh my gosh.
The Rams versus 49ers was simply a game that decided which team could.
I really hope Thursday night games are way better this year,
which
bro.
Team season would end. And well,
because there was no reason this should have been on national TV. Well, it wasn't even on national TV. This should have been on no platform at all, bro. This shit should have been on TV. Real shit.
By a Rams team that didn't even play well. Debo had a bad
game. Was fucking atrocious.
That was it.
And you got
their season ended.
Fat Burger Samuel.
With that, the Jets now decided to lock the fuck in with the season over. Rodgers and Devontae Adams took over the game versus the Jaguars to start ruining their tank. Tim Boyle played football for the Giants. Lamar Jackson gave Josh Allen a run for his money for the MVP, too, with a perfect game of his own.
Jackson
and
5,
the Lions and Bills played in a hyped-up matchup that didn't live up to expectations, because the Bills just demolished the Lions, as it became clear that, sadly, this was not the same Detroit team as early in the season due to injuries. Monday Night Football. Raiders
Another
versus
one of those
Falcons.
weird-ass games.
Sweet
this should
mercy.
have definitely not been on
Couldn't we
TV.
have just canceled this game? Who else watched this one? Please tell me it's under 40.
I didn't react to this, I'll tell you that.
Versus Kirk Cousins was not fun, and we almost won this game. These two terrible, terrible teams were playing their worst football.
Even that Vikings-Bears game was ass.
We almost did enough with Sincere McCormick, but
Vikings just gave them belt the whole time.
And the tank rolled on. But don't worry, because our fight to ruin our tank began next week, because we played against the Jaguars with Mac Jones, who somehow were worse than us, and we kissed our Cam Ward hopes goodbye on that day. Truly sad. I don't like you, Amir Abdullah. But besides that, it was another slow week, as it was clear the season was winding down, and
where Tank Dell's
the
season
postseason was growing closer and closer. And injuries were gonna play a factor, unfortunately. Tank Dell suffered an injury he's still recovering from right now. Jalen Hurts went down versus the Commanders in a loss, and the Packers and Saints.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I know every Eagles fan hate Frankie Louvu after that.
The most boring game of the year. I just honestly forgot it happened, so I wanted to mention it. Christmas football, woohoo! We all got to crowd around the Christmas tree, and old Saint Nick got to see Russell Wilson get a train run on him by the Chiefs, and Lamar Jackson also eliminated the Texans. So. Really underwhelming stuff.
Bro won't even run at full speed too, bro. That's the scary part about it.
For how disappointing both of those Christmas games were. Because if you watched every Bengals game without, being a Bengals fan, they were really entertaining this year, and it looked like this was just going to be a textbook Bengals buffoonery game. They had it won in theory, but then Marvin Mims at 5'11" turned into prime Terrell Owens and started putting the team on his back, and it was happening again because the Bengals needed this game to hypothetically stay alive in playoff contention, and Joe Burrow was asked to do everything himself, and he delivered. It took some time, but T. Higgins called game, and the Bengals remained a dangerous team to face in the playoffs if they got in. But besides that, not much happened in the main slate on Sunday. Packers vs. Vikings was cool, I guess. Kenny Pickett threw himself. The Cardinals season ended, but on Sunday Night Football, the Falcons vs. Commanders was
crazy
a great
game.
Both quarterbacks, Penix and Daniels, the younglings, played very, very well.
Do the Falcons Commanders play this year too?
The Falcons just absolutely fucked up the clock, missed a field goal, and Jaden Daniels won the game on a wild touchdown drive and clinched my fantasy championship in the process.
Crazy.
What a goat. Historically, Week 18 has always been very hit or miss, and this year it definitely was a miss. The Chiefs rested like every starter versus the Broncos, so the Bengals got eliminated as collateral.
I mean, Week 18 always be like, unless there's like teams that are still trying to clinch the playoffs and shit like that, then week 18 is just ass for because mainly everybody's clinched the playoffs and all they starters are rested. So
keep the streak going on a pointless pass in the game of the week. The only game that mattered, other than the Broncos versus Chiefs game, which wasn't even a game, was Vikings versus Lions to decide which team would have to run the gauntlet on the road and which could rest as the top seed. And it was not even close. The lights were simply too bright for Sam Darnold, and the Lions.
It wasn't really his fault. His O-line got obliterated that whole game.
The wild card was finally here.
And then in the
NFL playoffs started, and things were, cool. But I'll be honest, the wild card was not all that. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, who I feel like I only mentioned like once this year because they were pretty boring all season.
Hey, and I bet you 100%. 100%.
Not all that. Justin.
If this was either Lamar, Josh Allen, or Jalen Hurts, the media would have bashed them 100%. But since it's Justin Herbert, the nigga who doesn't get any hate by the media, they just swept this shit under the rug.
Like once this year,
we haven't heard a single thing about Herbert's performance after this game from the media,
and we're
like at all.
By the dirty bubble, to be fair. While contenders like the Ravens, Eagles, and Bills all easily dealt with their prey with little issues for the most part.
We won't talk about what happened next week, though.
The game we got was Bucs versus Commanders, which was the game I was looking forward to the most, and it was all that I thought.
Baker Mayfield trucking Bobby Wagner and shit.
Always a great time, and Marshawn was getting treated like a used dog toy all game. The coaching was amazing. It was just a really high-level football game, and when the Commanders failed,
a lot of them are usually be winning those matchups
like
too.
Bucs had the game won, and
but he was hurt last year.
That just sucks. Once again, all credit to the Commanders, but people forget they were one oopsie away from Tampa Bay just winning this game, and their season could have ended right there. But instead, Jaden Daniels' magical campaign continued, and then we got Rams versus Vikings. I was so high in the Vikings. All they needed to do was have Sam Darnold.
If you go look back at my predictions, bro, I said the same thing that I've been saying for the longest. I knew that they were going to lose to the Rams because I brought up the game that they had against the Giants a few years ago in the wild card round. I knew this shit was going to happen.
Okay football.
It was the same exact Vikings team, bro,
like
from that year.
String long snapper being
just minus Kirk Cousins and shit. You know what I'm saying?
He wasn't comfortable for even a second.
I just knew this was going to happen.
And the Rams blew the doors out of the Vikings, even with their home stadium not even being an option for them. And just like that, this 14-win team was gone in the wild card. The divisional round was way better, though. The Chiefs versus Texans game was kind of slow, as Kansas City just did what they always do and strangled Houston to death. But then we got Commanders versus Lions. Oh, boy.
I did not see this coming at all.
I'm not even a Lions fan. I'm sorry. You guys deserve better. But the first half of this game made it seem like we had an all-timer on our hands. Both teams were playing a near-perfect game. This was such a high-tier offensive clinic from both sides, but then one team kept making zero mistakes while the other was making backbreaking ones. As the Lions threw a terrible pick that led to Jared Goff getting exploded.
Bro. Oh my God. That almost gave him a concussion.
That was it. Jaden Daniels found Harry McLaurin for a score, and that was the end of the Lions' best season in franchise history, as 3 NFC North teams made the playoffs and none of them won a game. The Eagles also took on the Rams in a snowstorm, which is always
Saquon gave the Rams dick again.
Not look that good. Luckily, their defense was still carrying.
He must really hate the Rams,
really
bro.
Unhealthy, and they just kept the Rams around a little too long, giving them a chance. And Puka Nacua is a demon, so do not do that. But the Rams' offensive line picked the worst time of the season to have a full-on meltdown, and Los Angeles' Cinderella run was over. And finally, Ravens versus Bills happened, and it was awesome as well.
Pick,
it sucked to see Lamar kind of struggle again early, but he bounced back, and after being down by 2 scores, the Ravens were right there to try and steal the game on the road. Now, Lamar was also doing all of this without Zay Flowers, and with Mark Andrews having one of the worst games of his career with a huge fumble. Now,
everyone want to say, well, Lamar choked this, Lamar choked that. He turned the ball over twice in the first half. That did not decide the outcome of this game. This play right here really decided the outcome. This and then him dropping it at the 1 yard line on the 2-point conversion, bro. Lamar looked flawless
with Mark Andrews
in the second half.
One of the worst games of his career with a huge.
Why the fuck? Look at all this space right here, bro. I was about to say green grass, but it ain't really green right now. Look at all this space. This nigga wanted to decide to be Zay Flowers and cut back for no reason whatsoever.
Back in the game, and they began to drive.
Like, gang. And then look at his clutch throw right here from Lamar. Then Isaiah Likely. Our best tight end right now.
Championship round time. Let's do it. Okay, so we had Eagles versus Commanders.
Lamar's the reason why we almost won that game.
Played their best game of the season damn near to this point. And Saquon
Barkley,
the unanimous best back all year, had a breakaway touchdown right away. And Washington never stood a chance versus an all-time great team on paper that was now playing as a unit, which then led to another installment of Chiefs versus Bills, the modern-day equivalent to Brady versus Manning, Allen versus Mahomes. And it was fun, as always.
Be having good-ass games.
I'm sorry, I don't care how much you might hate the Chiefs. The entertainment they're giving us, especially in the playoffs, has been awesome. The Chiefs had control of the game, but Buffalo wasn't going away like that. Not with that version of Josh Allen. Not this season.
That nigga Josh can't catch a break, bro.
After a James Cook touchdown, Arrowhead was
0-4 against Mahomes in the playoffs.
The defense was the strength of the team all year. And on 4th down, they stopped Josh Allen by centimeters. And from there, the Chiefs
I thought he definitely got that. I ain't gonna lie. He definitely got that.
Kincaid couldn't bring in a tough pass with Samaje Perine calling game because of course he did. And the Kansas City Chiefs just continue to do the impossible. So in the Super Bowl, could their luck
the best game of the year right
one more game? Well, absolutely not. We ended up getting a horrible Super Bowl, all things considered, as the game was over in the second quarter.
White boy Ricky!
For many, this was a great Super Bowl. It was satisfying to see the Chiefs get so overwhelmed in every way, because on paper, this is what should have happened.
It's what happens when you got a great D-line, bro. Real shit. They didn't have to blitz the whole game.
Crushed the Chiefs dynasty and won the Super Bowl. They're second in the last 10 years. And that's how the 2024-2025 season ended, with Mahomes on the losing end of things and the Philadelphia Eagles holding the Vince Lombardi trophy. But anyways, that was the 2024-2025.
Hey man, this is a good ass video, bro.
I hope you really enjoyed this video, because this recap is always one that I really enjoy making. And
hey man, shit, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other NFL videos I'm to react to. Without further ado, I'm out.
I'ma make them feel me, make them people when they show me. And if you don't know me, I'ma make sure that you know me. I hate to say it, but I really think I'm broke. But I know I'm chosen, I really know I'm chosen. I know I'm chosen. I was just lost a year ago, but now I'm focused. When good at sports, this microphone can be my trophy. Not taking drugs, I found a better way of coping.